Hey guys, Redneck Mini 14 here. In this video, I want to show off my three main deer rifles. And that's because we just wrapped up the 2023 deer season in my family. In my immediate family, we have three deer hunters. So obviously myself, my brother-in-law, he's been hunting for 25 years, I think he said, ever since he was 11 years old. And this year was also the second year that my niece has gone out deer hunting with her father. She's currently 9 years old. And then, hopefully in the future, her little brother will want to go hunting as well. So we'll see. He's a little young, got a couple years left before he can probably get the attention span to actually go hunting, but we'll see. So this year was a pretty good year for us. Now, we hunt mainly on the farm, or at least I do, and the farm is only about 28, 29 acres, so it's not even 30 acres. So it's not like a ton of land to hunt on. I'm not a big fan of hunting on public land, and there's only a couple other options that I can think of, and one of them's not really accessible to me, and the other one, there's really no other deer. Nobody ever sees any deer there anytime they hunt there. So it's not a very good place to hunt. So I typically settle for the farm, and I usually am able to get a deer there, but it's usually a small deer. Now, this year was a pretty good year for us because my brother-in-law, like I said, he's hunted for the past 25 years. He finally got his first good-sized buck. And I'm not sure how many deer he's killed in those 25 years. I think most years he's actually not killed anything. But this year he went out opening weekend, opening day. I told him he could hunt opening weekend and I'll hunt the next weekend and any other weekend after that, because we have a lot of weekends to hunt in the state of Missouri this year. And so he went out opening weekend and he shot himself a 9-point buck pretty early in the morning. I mean, I don't think he was out there 2 hours. He might have only been out there an hour or so. So that's really cool for him, and really cool for my niece to experience that. And because she didn't, I don't even know if, well, I guess they saw some deer last year, but they didn't really have a good shot last year. But this year, first day, opening day, they got themselves a nice 9-point buck. So really excited for them. I think he's going to have the deer, the head mounted. So can't wait to see that whenever it comes in next year or so. So anyway, he got that 9-point buck. And this is the year that I got my biggest deer, which honestly is not a very big deer. So I've been hunting for 12 years. The first 3 deer that I've shot have all come from somebody else's muzzle loader. And I got a pretty good sized doe, and I got I got a spike buck and a button buck, all 3 with my uncle's muzzle loader. Of course, the first 2, I think it was only 2 years I was hunting, I didn't get anything. And I was hunting with this good old 30-30 up here. But this year, I got a 6-point buck. So I sat in a blind for a couple days, and I didn't see anything really for the first 2 days that I was in the blind. And then I decided to switch it up. And, I sat in the blind on the last day that I was hunting for a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, and I was pretty close to calling it, and I finally saw this 6-point buck walk out. This was the first year that we didn't have an antler restriction in my county, so I took a shot, and it was a pretty good shot, and I actually got it with the good old Marlin 336 30-30. And this is the first gun out of all my guns that I ever bought with my own money. I got it when I was 18 years old, and it's my first deer rifle, first gun that I ever paid for, and It is a Remington-made Marlin. It does not have the greatest fit and finish, but you know what? It sure functions, and it definitely kills deer. I've killed 2 deer with that rifle so far, and the first deer was only like a yearling doe, and I didn't really get a good shot at it, so I actually had to shoot it a second time because it just wasn't gonna die on its own before dark. So, but this year I got that 6-point buck with it, and it was a good shot. Didn't really go very far, and it was gone. It was dead. So anyway, I got 2 deer with that 30-30. And like I said earlier, I have been hunting for 12 years. And in those 12 years, I think I counted 8 deer that I've killed in those 12 years. So 3 with a muzzleloader, which I can't show you because I don't have it. 2 with a 30-30. So I guess maybe it was my 5th year I was able to use the 30-30 because I actually had time to go out during regular deer season instead of just muzzleloader season. So yeah, like my 5th year I got a deer with a 30-30, and this year I got a deer with a 30-30. But I have since getting the 30-30 got 2 other deer rifles, and so the second rifle that I got was this Mossberg MVP in 308, and this, I believe, was the Predator version of the rifle. They don't actually make this rifle anymore, but I got this rifle for a pretty good price from Walmart, actually. Had to special order it, and it came with the scope and everything, and you know, it's got the 10-round detachable magazine, which is currently loaded, or at least partially loaded. So it came with a 10-round magazine, 308. You know, it takes, it can take M1A mags, it can take AR-10 mags, so it's a pretty cool gun. And I got, I believe, 2 deer with that one as well. I got a button buck last year and another little yearling doe the year before. So 2 years in a row, I got a little deer with this gun. And I know some people are going to say, you know, why are you shooting at the little deer? Because, you know, why don't you get a big deer, look for the big rack, or get a big doe, get more meat? Well, like I said, we're only hunting on about, you know, 28, 29 acres of land. We don't have hundreds and hundreds of acres of land like some people are blessed to have. And I have hunted other farms before. In fact, I shot several deer at other farms that were hundreds and hundreds of acres of land, but I just don't have access to those anymore. And so I'm hunting at the farm, and it's just kind of like, you know, what you see is what you get. You may see a deer one day, you may not see a deer one day. And so if you see a deer, as long as it's a legal deer, you shoot it, because if you don't shoot it, you might pass up your opportunity and you might not get a deer at all. And that's why we've hardly ever gotten any decent sized bucks. So anyway, that's the Mossberg MVP in 308. It's a very good gun. Definitely a favorite of mine. And a few years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, I got this Thompson Center Venture in 30-06. This is another really nice gun. Wasn't a very expensive gun. I think I only paid like a little over $400 for it. I did have to buy a scope for it because it did not come with one. So I got, I think it's a Bushnell, and it's a 4-12 by 40, I believe is what that is. It's a little bit more fancy scope than the other two. By the way, I didn't mention it, but I did not originally want to put a scope on the 30-30, but my uncle insisted that I get a scope, and you know, I've gotten deer with it before. You know, one of them I probably could have got without the scope, and the other one I probably did need the scope. But I will say, I would like to have a deer rifle without a scope on it. So whether I take the scope off of that one or I get another one, I actually do have another 30-30 that I could use, but I have missed deer because I had a scope and I did not have the option for the iron sights. I've had deer run right past me that were so close, I just couldn't shoot them because I didn't have the option for iron sights. If I just had the iron sights, or at least the iron sights available, it would have been a dead deer. And one of them was a pretty good sized buck. So I do wish that I had a deer rifle with just iron sights. And I do have options. I just haven't tried them hunting yet. Anyway, back to the Thompson Center Venture 30-06. Obviously, it's a 30-06. It's got a synthetic stock. It's got these fancy Hogue grip panels. And it has a detachable magazine, which is only 3 rounds, but all you really need is 1, right? So I'll load it up to 3, and I got a sling here. It has 3 more rounds in it. In the 308, I have another sling that you can put a few more rounds in as well. That was actually originally on my 45-70, but I put it on this gun because if I was going to hunt with it, I needed a sling, and so I might as well just take a sling I already had versus go buy another one. But anyway, with this rifle, I believe I've only ever shot 1 deer with it, and that was probably 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It's hard to keep track, but I think I only got a button buck with it, and that was a deer that only had 1 eye. So yeah, I don't know. It must have got its eye caught on a branch or something, but it was kind of freaky looking. But I don't know that I've had a picture of that deer. But that's the only deer I ever got with this gun. I generally will take more than 1 gun with me hunting, so I'll probably generally take a longer range rifle, so either the 30-06 or the 308, and the 30-30. And I would like to have another brush gun that probably only has iron sights, so whether I use my other 30-30, whether I use my 1894 and 44 Magnum, or maybe my Mini 30 that's in 7.62 by 39. All 3 of those would be good choices. So I might try one of them out next year in the woods. We are doing, cutting some trails, which is where my brother-in-law got that big buck. We cut a trail, put a blind on the trail, and that's where he got that deer. And we're going to extend those trails to go, all the way around the property. And so while we do that, we're probably going to put more places for blinds. And if we're going to be hunting more in the woods, as long as there's deer there, I would definitely like another brush gun, preferably one that doesn't have a scope, or at least has the option to use the iron sights with see-through rings or something like that. So that's what the future's looking like. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. These are the only 3 guns that I currently own that I've actually killed deer with. The only other gun was a muzzleloader owned by my uncle. But I do have other guns that I've hunted with, and I hope to get deer with those guns as well. And probably in the future I'll do more videos with those guns and show off the deer that I got with them. So anyway, that's all I have for this video.
Hey, before I go, I just thought I'd remind everybody that I do have a second channel called Redneck Off the Range. Over there, I post most of my non-gun related content, so whether it's a video on my new tractor, my power tools, my projects that I'm working on, maybe wild game recipes, or just a random vlog, I post all of this kind of content over on my secondary channel. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go check it out, Redneck Off the Range. But that's all for this video, so subscribe to my channel, like me on Facebook. I'm Redneck Mini 14, and until next time, be safe.